Welcome, Rupy. Doctor's Kitchen. You can drink your espresso.
I can drink my espresso. I was just about to take a sip
That was just at the moment. I love that. Go on, have a sip.
Okay, I'll have a sip. Yeah,
It's so funny because people for years thought, no, you shouldn't have coffee. But we're all learning through you, through Tim Spector, through many people. Coffee is good. Obviously, not too much.
I love it. Honestly, coffee is one of those phenomenal ingredients that you can drink every single day. I prefer it black, but you can have it with some milk if you like. And it's prebiotic. It's full of these plant chemicals called polyphenols. It's been linked with a reduction in type 2 diabetes and dementia. It obviously gives you wings. And as long as you don't have too much, I always limit my coffee intake to 2. And usually, I know it's like, 1 o'clock today, but usually before 11 a.m. But I do have a 16-week-old, so
you've got a baby. You've got so much to unpack with what you've just said. Okay, so you're the Doctor's Kitchen. You do know your stuff. You're an NHS doctor, and then you're a nutritionist, and you just love cooking, and that's how this is all developed. You've now got an app, a podcast, your 5th book about to come out, which we're going to reveal to you live on this podcast because you haven't seen your book.
I haven't, and it's such a privilege to have it unveiled by yourself.
Oh, bless
Gaby.
you. This is so exciting. So I've got it here. I'm going to do that later. It's very interesting.
Oh, you're going to make me wait for it.
Yeah, I'm going to make you wait. I'm going to make you wait. Can we go back to the coffee thing? Because I'm somebody who I can't tolerate caffeine.
Sure.
I can't.
Sure.
And then everyone keeps saying, oh, but you're missing out. So Tim Spector made me eat dark chocolate.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't like chocolate. But now I have my square a day.
Okay, nice.
Because he told me I have to melt it on my tongue.
Nice.
What about the coffee thing? Because I can't have caffeine. And decaf isn't good for you, is it?
So if you can't have caffeine, you're sensitive to it. And there are genetic reasons as to why that might be the case as well. There are some decafs that are actually very healthy, and they use something called a mountain water process to gently decaffeinate the beans. So you're not using a harsh chemical process that can not only disrupt the flavor, but potentially increase your exposure to harmful pollutants. Yes. So mountain water process, or Swiss mountain water process, is something that so I'm chief science officer for a coffee company called Excel.
Oh my word, my face!
Yeah, you can actually have that, and if you enjoy the taste of coffee,
I do. I like iced coffee.
Then you'll love it. And did you have it with milk or something? Or
I have it with almond milk.
Yeah,
or coconut milk.
Honestly, this summer you're gonna have the best summer ever because you're gonna make yourself some decaffeinated beans. Know that you're getting the benefits of
zero
those polyphenols.
Caffeine. Really,
no caffeine whatsoever, and you can have that in the summer over some ice or whatever you like.
Oh my word!
I'll send you a bag.
No, don't. Oh, that's really.
No, I'll send you a bag. Of course.
Well, that's very, very sweet of you. That is so funny. Because I've always been told don't. It's the same way as for years and years and years, and I bore everybody a bit with it, but I've studied health and nutrition for almost 30 years because Dad had bowel cancer, Mum had lung cancer. Mum didn't survive and Dad did. And I just thought, and also I'm allergic to wheat. So I've studied health and nutrition, and I'm all the time, I'm fascinated and how it's changing, ever changing.
Yeah.
And I remember one thing, going out, and somebody was looking at me and said, because I don't drink alcohol either. It's a life choice. I don't want a hangover. And and they said, what do you drink? I said, fizzy water with fresh lime. They went, fizzy water's really bad for your bones. I said, no, I've actually read about it. They went, no, you haven't. It's really bad for your bones. So, yeah, and then do you remember the time we were told, no eggs? Eat eggs. Don't eat eggs.
Yeah.
But you know, all of these things, the myths have to be busted, don't they?
Yeah, totally. I think people need to recognize that our bodies are really resilient. So, if you do want to have some caffeinated beverages every now and then, it's not going to demineralize your bones. If you do want to have a bit of junk food every now and then, it's not going to be.
Do you junk?
I do, of course I do.
Which junk?
Absolutely. So my favorite go-to junk food is probably like it's going to sound so bougie, but a baguette.
Yeah.
With lashings of butter into it, and maybe some of those deli meats.
Okay. The processed food.
Yeah. I have those, not nitrite ones though. So ones that are not made with nitrates, and proper butcher's sort of standard.
Oh,
as well.
Okay.
The Provedores, the Spanish tapas places.
You're very
that
posh.
would be. But the thing is, generally, because I love food so much, you won't really find me in a Burger King or a McDonald's because I just know that that's not real food. And if I'm going to splurge, I want to splurge on actually delicious real food because I'm a foodie. I would never want to like take away someone's enjoyment of eating delicious food, but the majority of what I eat is obviously going to be super healthy.
It's very funny. There's not at the BBC right now, I can say. So Pizza Express do a gluten-free pizza.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
And they do a goat's cheese one, and I it's my go-to. And people look at me and go, "You eat pizza?" I go, yes. If I want to take away like everybody else and it's gluten-free,
totally.
yes.
Yeah, my wife's gluten-free, and so we have to navigate that. So we do have pizza actually, but
Yeah.
there's a really good pizza place near us called Basilico in North London, which do fantastic sourdough, but their gluten-free is really not good.
Okay, thank you.
So we go to
it's
Zia
not
Luca.
good.
No, it's not good, but Zia Luca is really good. Do you know Zia Luca?
No.
I'm not sponsored by them. I
It
promise.
does sound like you're sponsored by all these different
But
companies.
no, Zia Luca is they do a really good gluten-free pizza. It kind of like sourdoughy, but you know how you get some gluten-free pizzas and it's like
Tastes like sand.
yeah, it's horrible.
No.
And it's like crispy and
No,
like,
but
it's not,
you know what?
Yeah,
It's very interesting. We do a morning live, which you and I are going to see each other on very soon.
yeah,
But on morning live, whenever we talk about food allergies,
yeah.
the amount of people that get in touch and say thank you very much, because we get sort of treated very strangely in restaurants.
Yeah.
Because I have to say I'm a celiac. I'm not actually celiac, but I have to in a restaurant because if I say gluten-free, they say, oh, it's okay, there is some. I go,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
no, because I'm allergic.
Yeah,
I won't be
yeah.
able to breathe.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
swell up.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
turn red.
Totally, yeah. No, I completely agree. I'm actually doing something for the Allergy and Free From show later on this year, actually.
Oh, good.
And I'm really conscious of that because not only is my wife gluten-free, but a lot of family members also have intolerances as well. And I think it's really important to not forget that. And they're actually growing as well in the number of people suffering with intolerances and allergies.
Why is that?
It's a very interesting
Is
question.
it because of the
One-
pesticides and all the rubbish?
One that I've discussed on the podcast with a few immunologists,
Right.
and I think there's a catalogue of reasons. Overuse or overconsumption of processed foods is definitely damaging our gut microbiota, as is overuse of antibiotics.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily us taking antibiotics, it's antibiotics in our food
In our
system,
water,
unfortunately, in
yeah.
our waters, all that kind of stuff. There's also this the sort of hygiene hypothesis and our lack of contact with true dirt. And so, prior to over sanitization, which obviously has its merits, we would have been exposed to a lot more bugs. We would have eaten a lot more probiotic rich foods as the norm.
Well, as a child, we were lucky to have a garden, a very small garden. We had a
Yeah.
garden. My mum was obsessed with the garden. She'd sling us outside and we'd make mud pie.
Yeah.
And it would be everywhere.
Yeah. And that's a great thing.
And she used to say, it's clean dirt.
Yeah. It's cleaned up.
Or, the 5-second rule when you drop something. But I remember when I had my first baby and I was out with a friend and she had her child covered sort of from neck down and practically gloved and no dirt at all.
Oh, really?
And I was just with my first baby. It was like, oh, pick it up. It's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. And she was this other mum, that's disgusting. But actually, a bit of dirt is quite
A bit of
good
dirt is great.
for
And
us.
actually, I feel like we're having a bit of a hangover effect after COVID because of, the obvious advice to sanitize during COVID, but it does need to be married with like a healthy exposure to dirt and probiotics and all these things that we're losing our connection with. I had a gastroenterologist on the podcast recently, actually, and he was just talking about how we need to socialize more. We need to kiss each other. We need to, I know we're not hugging because
I've got
you're a little bit.
I've got a childhood head cold.
Yeah. But I think these natural things that are critical to not only our mental well-being but also our physical well-being as a result of that communication of our microbes is something that we need to lean into a lot more for our health and well-being. I did have a tip for you about the dark chocolate. So what's the highest you can go in terms of
No,
percentage?
well, Tim made me do it. I've only done it a couple of times since. It was 80%, and he said I have to
80% is
put
really high.
on
So-
my tongue and melt it.
Yeah, so look, if you're going that way, like, you're either going to get there or not. But I would say work your way up. So go to from 50, 55%.
But I don't like a milk. I don't like chocolate.
Oh, you don't like chocolate? Oh,
no.
okay, fine.
I'm the person that doesn't like chocolate. I know there's not many of us.
I don't understand people like you.
Pickles.
I love
Pickles.
chocolate.
No, pickles. I talk about it all the time. I'm going pickles. pickles, kimchi, anything pickled, anything vinegar. And years ago, people used to say, you eat too much of that. I go, no, I love it. And now I sit back and go, oh, you see?
Yeah, pickles.
Yeah, pickles and kimchi and vinegar and apple cider vinegar. And I love, do you know what? I'd say yes to any pickle.
Yeah,
I really would. I think I've on every television show they've said, but have you tried and yes, I have.
Yeah.
In fact, pickled Brussels sprouts on Morning Live they gave me.
You
good.
you know who you should interview? Kirsten Shockey. She is credited with the whole sort of fermenting world and really brought fermenting to like the sort of Western world or whatever. But she's like an aficionado. She's a fermentista. And we had
my
her
goodness!
Yeah, she coined this term fermentista, and she's like, you can ferment anything. You can do spinach. You can do obviously capers. You can do anything. And she really taught me.
You're talking my language.
Yeah.
You said caper. You had me at caper.
We love capers. Yeah.
I love a caper.
Yeah. We always like briny things in our house.
Yeah, see? And they're
Capers,
good for us.
gherkins. Yeah,
They're
are.
good for us.
Really good.
Right. Would you like to see your book?
I would love to see.
This is incredible. So your book comes out any
It's the
moment
right book,
now.
yeah.
Yes. And we're going to talk about it. And so we're going to catch. So Tom,
Yeah.
who is doing the show,
Yeah.
he is catching your face as I reveal. I can't believe this is happening.
I know.
Okay,
It's super
this
exciting.
is the book
Oh
reveal.
my gosh! Wow, it's in the flesh. This is such a weird feeling to have it in my hands.
So
I'm really
you
happy
pleased?
with it. This is, yeah, I'm really pleased. I'm really
thank
pleased.
goodness for that, Tom. He likes it.
I'm really pleased. Yeah. This is great. This book is me through and through. I had so many back and forth conversations with the publishers because they wanted a particular title, a theme. They wanted it to be quick or budget friendly, and I was like, no, I think this is a really important subject matter for now because
healthy, high protein, supercharge your energy, feel stronger, and live longer.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Protein is so important, but I think the only place where people get their information around protein is either from bodybuilders or from people who don't really understand the nuance of protein.
That's interesting.
Because I think when most people think of protein, they're thinking muscles and meat. And actually, what I want you to be thinking is the majority of what your protein is used for in your body: enzymes, hormones, your immune defenses, your skin, collagen, like all these things. These are all protein. And actually, as we age, our requirements for protein increase. And over the last 5 years, a lot of new research has emerged to give us a much more nuanced understanding of our protein requirements as we age as well.
That's interesting.
These are all things that I've like put into the book, and I've also like married it with, okay, you can have high protein, but also let's look after your gut and let's look after your inflammation levels as well.
Rather bizarrely, and I opened your book.
Yeah.
What did I open it on? Salmon tikka bowls with a quick fennel and cabbage pickle.
I love that.
I mean,
I love that.
That is so bizarre. But you list the plants, the fiber, the protein, because we all need fiber. I think a lot of people stopped. There was a whole thing, wasn't there? No, you shouldn't have carbs. You shouldn't have fiber. You shouldn't have you just purely protein. And you're right. There are a lot of protein bars, and I look at the ingredients.
Gosh. You look at the ingredients and you're like, this is basically an ultra-processed food.
And it's sugar.
And even if it's not sugar, they are loading it with sweeteners. And while sweeteners can be okay for people who are looking to reduce their sugar consumption or lower their calorie consumption, I don't think they're without issues. And I'm a precautionary pragmatist. I would prefer to have the long-term data on use of sweeteners rather than just sort of jumping into the abyss without like true knowledge of what the long-term impacts are going to be from overconsumption of sweeteners. And I think if something's too good to be true, it's probably not true.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I've got 2 daughters and a husband, and I bang on at home, and I've got them, very plant-based, a lot of protein, all healthy, all of that. But my husband still puts his sweetener in his coffee, and they have Diet Coke, which I don't have all that. And I keep saying there's sweeteners we don't know. Yeah, but were you going on about we shouldn't have processed sugar? No, you shouldn't. But and I think everybody feels in a way I know my family do, but it's different. I'm not an expert. But people feel like, hold on, there's so much information coming at
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So what is the right and the wrong to do with, let's go to protein first, because that's what your book's about.
Yeah, yeah. So I think, like, to clarify, is this healthy for me? What should I be choosing when I'm at a restaurant or I'm at a grab and go and I'm thinking of something to eat when I'm on the train? Just ask yourself three questions. Is there enough protein to meet my needs in this meal? Are there gut healthy ingredients that are going to support my microbes? And is this going to be pro or anti inflammatory? And if you can answer positively to those three questions, you're looking at a really healthy
So
meal.
what would be a grab and go then?
So a grab and go would be, you can get those diversity bowls that are like edamame, pickles, some greens on the side, and you can pair that with some nuts and seeds that you can also buy or keep with you in the Tupperware. I always have leftovers for my lunch.
Yeah.
Like whenever I'm on the go, I'm always having leftovers from the night before, making sure I overcook, and I just add that. Another really good hack. I know you spend a lot of time in trains.
I do, a lot of
Yeah,
trains.
yeah. So burritos are actually really good. So when you look at the nutritional breakdown and you look at the ingredients, it's usually like a collection of beans, a bit of like, sweet corn or peppers. If you don't have gluten, you can have the bowl variety instead, and corn chips as long as they don't have gluten.
You've got me. I absolutely love Mexican food.
Yeah, yeah, and they're
Guacamole
popping
on the
up.
top. Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
please.
yeah. They're popping up everywhere as well in trains. So that's always my hack whenever I'm traveling and I haven't got my
What about the
Tupperware.
sandwiches that people, that's what most of the supermarkets do really well out of.
Yeah.
I mean, I went along and looked at some of the ingredients. I don't get them because I can't, because I'm allergic. But I was looking at some of the ingredients, and it really worried me.
Yeah, I avoid those like the plague, if I'm honest. Unless I'm feeling like, oh, I really want a sandwich.
Yeah.
I will make myself a
Make one.
sandwich. I will generally not buy a sandwich because A, they're generally pretty soggy. B, the quality of the bread is poor. It's like one of these ultra processed, hyper sort of industrialized breads that actually devoid of flavor and devoid of nutrients.
We did that I did a show called Food Inspectors for the BBC, and we broke down bread. And there was human hair or something.
Oh,
The
gosh.
same thing that was in human hair. Oh, it's really shocking.
I mean, isn't it weird that with flour in the UK, we are mandated to add vitamins to the flour to ensure that there are riboflavin and other B vitamins in the flour? Because what we've done is strip out the fiber and the husks of the grain, so you don't have any natural B vitamins. So to ensure that our population is getting a sufficient amount of these micronutrients, we're having to artificially add it doesn't make any sense.
No. And they're expensive. Let's point
and
it
they
out.
are
They're also
expensive.
really expensive.
And you're not getting good value for money because, whilst they are cheap, quote unquote, like £4 or £5, for what you get for that £4 or £5, it's terrible. So the bread is terrible. You tend to get like 3 or 4 leaves of spinach. I've actually like opened these up and like tried to examine them and weighed them and everything. There's a load of like margarine spread on it.
Margarine is not good.
It's not great.
No.
I'd much prefer you have either regular butter or olive oil, and then like some like 1 or 2 slices of pepper. And they're marketed to people who want something quick and healthy.
But they
it's
also
not
do
healthy.
a meal deal, so you get a bag of crisps, and a sweet drink or something.
Exactly. So you're consuming a lot of your energy, your calories from things that are nutritionally poor. So I mean, whenever I'm out, a lot of these sandwich chains, they also have a soup option, and I've actually looked at the soups, and they're not bad.
Oh,
They're
that's
usually
interesting.
lentil and like tomatoes and a few other like onions and peppers, all blended up in like a tomato base or whatever. And if you pair that with something that is high protein, like a handful of nuts or one of the other things that you can get at the counter, that's much better, and it's similar priced if you find yourself in a pinch. And if I always have like nuts and seeds or something with me just to keep me going as well. So
Sushi?
I mean, I'm always quite dubious about sushi from grab and go places.
'Cause the
particularly
white
train
rice?
station. No, just like the quality of the fish, actually.
Oh,
Like,
right, okay.
The white rice is probably the least of my concerns. It's actually the quality of the fish that you're getting. If you're getting good quality sushi, fantastic. And actually, if you go to a real good, I've splurged before, and I've gone to like really good sushi places. Their sushi is kind of like a blend between brown and white rice. Their sushi rice is like short grain brown rice, and it's served warm, and then they make it for you fresh. that is actually slightly high in fiber, and obviously the quality of the fish is like phenomenal. And you always pair it with pickles,
Oh, my
ferments.
stomach just gurgled. Did you
Yeah,
hear my
yeah,
stomach?
I
That was really funny. Oh
did.
my goodness.
Tom, I'm sure, heard that on the
Oh my
mics. But
goodness, that's
yeah,
embarrassing.
but you have that, and then like obviously you've got all these different vegetables and I mean, it's a beautiful, like well balanced meal. And you know what, washaku, I think, is the Japanese sort of way of eating. It's a real art because not only is it like an incredible experience for your senses and your taste buds, but it's actually articulated in a way to be best for your digestion. So they start with the vinegars and the pickles to get your sort of like gastric juices going, and then they have something that's carbohydrate, protein rich, and then they have the carbohydrates, and then you have like a very small like sweet dessert or whatever it is. So you're actually like hitting all the senses that you need, and you feel satisfied. You
Yes.
feel genuinely satisfied afterwards, even if you haven't consumed that much in volume, which is what I love about Japanese cuisine.
You love food, don't you?
I love food. I love food. That's
Did you
why.
know you were going to do all this? I mean, you
No,
knew you were a doctor.
way. I had no idea. The only so I fell into this, Gabby. I obviously went to med school. I was there for 6 years. I did management, and then in 2009 I got ill as a junior doctor. So I started suffering from a cardiovascular disease, something called atrial fibrillation, irregular heartbeat, very, very fast, was admitted multiple times whilst I was on shift, which was terribly embarrassing. And I became a patient. At the same time, I became a junior doctor. And on that journey was when I discovered the power of food as medicine. Because my mum, who's not a medic, was like, you should really look at your diet and your lifestyle before you entertain having an ablation, which is essentially where you put a guide wire through the main vessels and burn an area around the pulmonary vein to stop these misfiring cells that were causing the irregularity of my heartbeat. And I remember just thinking, my mum's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, I had no inclination that my diet or lifestyle was going to have any impact on this, because I wasn't taught this at medical school. I'd seen some of the best cardiologists in the world. No one was telling me anything about my diet, and it's a very it's a
interesting.
far leap to as a healthy 24-year-old with no preceding issues on a normal medic's diet, which is cereal for breakfast, sandwich for lunch,
Booze.
leftover pasta, and like a bit of booze or whatever. I wasn't that much of a drinker. I was too busy working. But all these things basically I wouldn't say like caused my illness, but they certainly weren't helping. And actually, when I cleaned up my diet,
And lots of sugar, though. Lots of sugar.
lots of sugar,
Yeah.
absolutely. Stress as well of being a junior doctor. When I coupled that with stress relieving techniques, yoga, different types of exercise, my AF went away. And so that was the light bulb moment for me. I was like, okay, there's something here. And then I just went down a rabbit hole, and it got deeper and deeper, and it continues to get deeper and deeper. So fast forward, I started talking to my patients about it. I became a GP after doing A&E and ITU in Sydney. And then I did my nutritional medicine masters over the last 5 years. I just finished that. I've been doing my podcast for like 7 years now, speaking to some of the world's experts on academic nutrition and lifestyle. And I've just let into the holistic side of medicine, if I'm truly honest.
How there's a lot of talk out there, and we, you and I both know Tim, and he's been on this podcast, and we have other mutual friends in common who are very highly trained and know what they're doing. But there are a lot of people, no names mentioned, who call themselves health experts, who bang on about this, that, and the other, and certain powders and all sorts of things. And it does worry me because they have a big following. That I don't know how real it is, and how people out there who very luckily haven't been affected by health issues or anything think, oh, do you know what? I'm going to start looking into this. How they go about going through this crazy mad jungle of it all.
Yeah, I think it's the thing I always bang on about is just get back to basics, and there are no shortcuts.
Yeah.
So if you think, okay, I need to build the basics of my lifestyle. My basics of my lifestyle are improving my diet and being as consistent as possible. So starting a breakfast with protein.
Yeah, what's your breakfast?
My breakfast is sometimes leftovers.
Yeah.
But otherwise, my go-to breakfast, particularly when I'm in my studio, is I get a small pan and I put in some edamame beans, some rocket leaves. I'll put in some sauerkraut. I'll put that in with some olive oil, and that sounds like a bit of a mess. And then I'll crack a couple of eggs into that,
Lovely.
and put a tiny bit of hot water on the side, and put the lid on. And then I'll dress that with maybe some spices, some Berber spices or za'atar, and then I'll serve that with some of my Daily Doctor's Kitchen bread, which is a seeded bread that's gluten-free. It's got psyllium husk in, which gives you tons of fiber.
It's good for pooing.
It's good for pooing. It keeps you very
Yeah.
regular, and also great for those microbes that are slaving away for us.
Yeah.
And that has given me at least 30 to 35 grams of protein every morning, plus a healthy dose of fiber of around 12 grams, and probably 8 to 9 plant points as well. So diversity is really key to this whole conversation around inflammation, as well as our gut health as well. So that's literally how I would start. Sometimes if I know that I'm going to be on a train first thing in the morning, I'll do overnight oats. And I actually did an overnight oats series recently where my oats actually doesn't contain that many oats, because I think oats can be quite refined. So I use a tablespoon method, and this will be really good for your listeners. So 2 tablespoons of oats, 2 tablespoons of milled flax, a tablespoon of chia, and a tablespoon of shelled hemp seeds. And then you add your flavors thereafter. So that's your base. And then your flavors can be raw cacao. In your case, you won't like that. So you could put raisins and berries. You could add cinnamon. If you want honey as a sweetener, you could use that as well. If you wanted to add a little bit more protein, use an unflavored, minimally processed protein powder with a milk or water of your choice, and then just mix that, put that in the fridge, and then that's your overnight oats, and that will give you a real healthy dose of fiber and protein in the morning.
And it's all ready. You don't have to rush around doing that.
And the reason why I'm such a stickler for protein in the morning is because you've just been on a really big fast, right? We all fast. Some of us fast for 8 hours, some of us fast for a little bit longer because we're more intentional about when we eat breakfast. You need to replenish those amino acids that have been broken down overnight. And so having protein in the morning is a really good way of replenishing that. It means that you're more likely to hit your protein goal over the 24 hours. And most of us need to eat more protein as well. It's something that I'm a bit of a stickler about. And I know it's kind of going against what the current advice is, but I believe that's going to change very soon in light of the new research that we have around protein. And it also staves off craving. So everyone's probably had this experience of, like, if you had a croissant in the morning, you might have eaten loads of croissants, but for some reason you're hungry at 11 a.m. Why is that? Well, your brain has this threshold of protein that you need to hit. And if you don't hit that threshold by the morning or mid-morning, your brain's going to say, you're still hungry, mate. You need to go out and go get some protein. And so you will constantly crave food until you hit this protein threshold. It's called the protein leverage hypothesis. And so that's why I'm a real big stickler of ensuring that you get enough protein in, because it will stave off cravings and it will mean that you eat less over the day.
It's very interesting because in the morning I have maybe scrambled eggs, but I don't put any butter or anything in it. But eggs and mushrooms and spinach, and I have it with beetroot and kimchi, and sometimes I'll have some gluten-free sourdough, and then I'll put herbs on and all of that, and I absolutely love it. And my husband likes his muesli, but it's all very super healthy. Obviously, it's me. My poor husband doesn't have one.
Wouldn't allow
and a couple
muesli.
of tablespoons of oats in there as well.
Yeah.
And then he puts fresh berries in there. But he sees my egg and he's like, so he has that as well. And he says, do you know what? I'm now not hungry later in the day.
Yeah, there you go. That's why. It's because when you eat according to your body needs, and you're having
that's it. Oh, I'm going to pick you up on that.
Yeah,
Sorry, finish that and then we'll come back to that.
I was just going to say, when you eat according to your body needs, you are essentially triggering those peptide hormones like GLP-1. Everyone's going on about Ozempic and Wegovy and all the rest of it. Your body naturally produces these hormones that will signal to your brain you've had enough food. when you eat protein, this is what happens. Your gut signals these proteins go to your brain, and it will stop you from consuming food because you've satisfied your requirements. The other thing
That's
it does
interesting.
is it will delay something called gastric emptying. So if you delay gastric emptying, your stomach holds the food for longer, something that you definitely don't do in ultra processed foods. And that, again, that very gentle stretching signals to your brain, I've had enough food.
Yes.
Whereas ultra processed food, it's going straight through you. It's turning to sugar almost immediately. And when you examine ultra processed food, very low in fiber, but also very low in protein. Really low in protein. Things like, chips and all these different things that we snack on, they are not hitting those signals that signal to your brain you need to stop, which is why they are created such to be overconsumed. And it's not
Wow, this
conspiracy.
is fascinating.
Yeah.
So your book is.
I just wanted to open. This is
Yeah.
one of favorite images. This is literally the first time
I
I've seen
love
it.
that
So
this is the first time. So
Yeah,
these are
yeah.
all the proteins that
I
we
want
can have.
people to understand, like when you look at a plate, I want you to be able to guesstimate, and I'm very intentional about using the word guesstimate. I want you to guesstimate how much protein there is just by looking at it. I don't want you to measure your food or measure your macros. I think it can develop an unhealthy relationship with food if
Yes.
we're maniacal about numbers. But I want you to be able to look at a piece of fish and be like, that's about 20-25 grams of protein. Or look at a bowl of cooked lentils and be like, that's about 8 grams of protein there. Maybe I need to add a few more nuts. Maybe I need to add like a little piece of chicken, or maybe some veggies. And so every food has got protein in. Some have got a good amount, like tofu or lean chicken. Some have got much less, like grains and like cooked vegetables. They like cooked greens. They have like 1 to 3 grams of protein.
Yes.
And there are some outlier ingredients as well that I highlight in the book, like tahini, peanut butter, yogurt, certain types of cheeses. They're really good and really good sources of protein.
This is brilliant. Thank you very much. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
I can't tell you what a thrill it was to actually reveal it to you, and also how completely bizarre that the thing that I opened it up, there was, oh, look, there's pistachio. I love pistachios.
Yeah.
I love pistachio ice cream.
Yeah, I love pistachio ice cream as
Yes,
well. There's a really good. Can I say a brand? Another brand.
You've just said lots of brands.
I swear, like
Yeah.
I'm not responsible. Have you had Badiani or Baldiani?
Yes,
Badiani? It's
yes.
Badiani ice cream. Have you had their pistachio?
Yes,
It's
it's
incredible.
delicious, but
It's
it comes in a
amazing.
plastic tub.
Yeah.
You see, they have to stop putting it in plastic tubs. This is wonderful. Thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
So you're obviously in a moment. Thank you very much, Dr. Rupy. Doctor's Kitchen. The app, the podcast, the 5 books, you,
There's quite a
Morning
few
Live.
things going on.
You're everywhere
Thank
in the
you.
best possible way. Thank
Thank
you so much.
I really appreciate that.
Gaby Roslin Podcast.